Hi and welcome to Golf FM. This is a test between the Callaway Ai 200 and the Callaway Elyte iron. The Elyte's just come out and I've tested it before. There'll be a link for it up above somewhere if you want to have a look at that. The reason I'm doing this test is because I hit the Elyte and thought it was incredibly soft. It is a cast club. This is their sort of bread and butter game improvement club, and the Ai 200's their forged P790 type club, so it's a player's distance iron that should have softer feel. Whereas this is just meant to be a little bit harder, louder maybe, but offer probably a little bit more forgiveness than something like the Ai 200. But the Elyte has impressed me with its looks and its feel, and I just think it might be quite close to the Ai 200 in terms of its overall performance. And given that it's about £200 cheaper, this is probably coming in at about £999 for 7 irons, and this is about £1,200 for 7 irons. Is that £200 better spent elsewhere? Should you get 4 dozen golf balls or a pair of shoes or a golf bag instead of it on top of the irons? Or should you just go the whole hog and get the slightly more expensive clubs? So interested to see what they do, how they perform, and really how they feel. Because as I say, I was really impressed with the Elyte when I hit it the last time. So back to back with the Ai 200, I'm not sure how it'll compare, but we'll see. In terms of looks, before we go into hitting them, bag appeal on the outside at the back of them, that is debatable. Normally you would expect the more expensive player's distance iron to easily trump the Callaway Elyte game improvement iron on looks. But this Elyte has been a massive jump forward in terms of a game improvement club. A lot of them are doing this enclosed design now where you've got all the workings inside in a sort of hollow area and then it's covered over at the back. So it gives the impression of being almost in that player's distance category with that closed in effect. There's Callaway urethane microspheres in here, which apparently is part of the magic that makes them feel soft. Whereas in the Ai 200, you've got a fully forged head, which is providing your softness. Normally these player's distance irons are just a forged face with a 17.4 stainless harder body around that. So you do get a soft feel, but they're not fully forged. And when I hit the Ai 200 the last time, I did think it was the softest of all the player's distance irons that I've hit because of the fact that the whole thing was forged. So from the outside, it's up to you. I don't think there's a lot in it. Yeah, they're different, but who's to say which one is nicer than the other? They're both very attractive irons. In terms of sole width, very similar. They've done quite a lot of work, supposedly, Callaway, on the front edge, the leading edge, to try and help sculpt that and round that so that it's better for you going into the turf. It doesn't dig as much, it gets through the turf in a much better way. So it is quite a narrow sole for a game improvement club, especially on the Elyte. You'd probably expect that on the Ai 200 a bit more. But the way they've shaped it apparently is conducive to being hit fat as well. It doesn't matter quite as much if you do that. So head size, very, very similar. Top line, not a lot in it. The Ai 200 is not the slimmest of top lines. There are slimmer ones out there, but there is very little in that. You could actually get these mixed up, almost identical. It's just a little bit shinier, the Elyte. In terms of offset, again, not a lot in it. Not a lot in it at all. There's almost an argument to say there's less offset in the Elyte. It might just be a trick of the light and the paint, but wow, I did not expect that. Offset tends to be something you see on game improvement clubs because it generally helps people that hit the ball right get their hands in a better position and stops them slicing it so much. But I mean, it's negligible how much actual difference offset makes, but it tends to always be on higher handicap clubs, whereas Ai 200 is supposedly that lower end of the handicap spectrum. But yeah, very similar when you put them down. Size, offset, top line, finish, everything. So yeah, what are you getting for your £200? That's what we're going to find out. So I'm going to hit the Ai 200 first and see how that goes. So yeah, down behind the ball, Ai 200 looks good. Fairly compact head, it's not too big. I use Ping Ai 530 and I would say this almost looks slightly smaller than that. Top line looks good here. Although I said it was a little bit thicker than some of them, still looks pretty thin. Not a lot of offset, but slightly more than on some player's distance irons. That was okay. A little bit out to the right. I don't want that view on, because that view makes it may look really bad because it goes way off to the side. It makes you want to give up golf, that view. I'm going to change it. I'm also going to take that shot out because I think it can go quite a bit better than that. So we'll take that out. First shot of the day doesn't matter, does it? I'd probably say a 7 out of 10-ish strike. I don't know. Maybe not. Yeah, probably. 179 in the air, 197. These are strong clubs. Should have said actually, this is 30 degrees and the Elite is 29. The other thing to take into account is that the Elite is 1/4 of an inch longer than standard in a 7-iron. That was the 7-iron loss, the 29 and the 30. What they're doing on some of these clubs now, and I'm not a massive fan of it, is making them a little bit longer because they're saying, well, they're so forgiving with the AI face and you can hit it anywhere on the face and it doesn't lose that much speed. Let's make the club a little bit longer and then you get more club head speed and you hit it further. I don't like putting length on a club. I don't mind them strengthening the lofts as long as they don't mess around too much with the length, because I think the shorter a club is, the more you hit the middle, and even though they say the AI face is going to make up for that, I have my doubts how much you will actually lose compared to if you hit the middle of the club. Anyway, that's just me, so let's get on with this. A little bit off the bottom, see how it goes. Oh, a wee bit out to the right, don't know if I'll keep that. Oh no, keep it in. 171 carry, 187. Quite low spin numbers on these, but the descent angle's 44, which is actually all right, so we'll keep going. That was a nice strike. It does feel really nice out the middle. That's what I've got to keep an eye on, is try and remember what it feels like. So when I switch over to Elite, I can really feel what the difference is. 182 in the air for 200. Really low spin, but again, 43 on the descent angle, so it's coming down at a reasonable descent angle. But that is a long way for a 7-iron, for me anyway. By the way, I am using the Dynamic Gold Mid 100 stiff, which is close to the shaft I use, but not exactly. Felt okay, I think, hopefully. 177, 190, still going, 197, jeez. 42 degree descent angle, but in the threes, 3.8, 4.5 of the spin. I did catch it a little bit scoopy, so that's probably what that is. Still did all right with the descent angle, but it's incredibly low spin, this club, for me anyway. A little bit less than perfect, but we'll see what it does. 178 for 200 again. Again, stupidly low spin in the threes again, which is a bit worrying. 40 degree descent angle, so not quite, but I didn't catch that properly. Still gone miles. And this is the thing, this is what you get with forgiveness in these clubs. These hollow-bodied players' distance irons. It's the distance just doesn't drop off that much, that markedly when you don't hit it properly. It still goes, it doesn't fall out the air and cause you to have to be pitching and chipping from 30 yards. You're actually on the front of the green. Felt decent. A little bit out to the right. See what it does. 181 to 199. These are feeling really forgiving in terms of like holding on to the distance. At least the spin got up into the fours there. Almost on driver spin at times with these. So 43 descent angle again, coming down at a decent angle that is going to stop. Remember to not get too tied up in spin rates. If your descent angle's pretty decent, and remember that club's going 200 yards. I know that's total distance, but that's what you get on the courses that I play, where it's firm greens, firm fairways. That used to be a 5-iron, and you don't expect a 5-iron to stop on a sixpence or have really high spin. That felt like a toe strike. I wonder how far that goes as a toe strike. Jeez, 177 in the air still for 196. I mean, it's low spin, but again, 43 descent, which is in the acceptable range. That'll be right again, probably. This is just me not swinging that well. But again, it's like 175 in the air, 192. Descent angle still acceptable. Let's see if we can flush a couple to finish. No, it's a bit hard strike. Don't know if I want to keep that one in. 175, 195. Incredible the way it's holding on to distance here. Oh, that was a nice strike, and it does feel superb when you hit it out of the middle. Really soft, really nice. And that carried 180 or 198. So I think that's 10. Remarkably stress-free that. thanks to its forgiveness, to be honest, because it wasn't actually even the best batch I've ever hit in my life, but they were all acceptable in terms of like the carry distance I was getting. Yeah, I think I could have hit it better, maybe got the spin figures up a wee bit, but the descent angles were still all okay. But we'll have a look at the end when we get into the figures. I'll hit the Elite now. It looks good behind the ball. It really does. Do I like that better than the AI 200? Hang on. So yeah, I really like that the minute I put it down, the Elite. But let's just see. Oh no, it's hardly any different. Yeah, they both look good. Both look good. Very, very similar. Just that chrome polished look as opposed to like a sandblasted duller finish. Right, let's see what this does. So 1 degree stronger and 1/4 of an inch longer than the AI 200. So in theory it should go further. Just a scary thought. God, that felt nice. This is what I remembered the last time, the feel of it. For a game improvement standard club was just incredible. 182, 202. The descent angles in the orange, only 41. The spin similar to AI 200, quite low. Felt good again. Not even sure, that wasn't even quite as good a strike, but it felt good again. I mean, immediately there's not a lot of difference in the feel. Might have them back to back just at the end, just to double check. Look at that, 185, 206. Almost like driver spin again though. 3.8 and 41 degree launch angle. So it's going into the orange with the descent angle. Not quite as healthy. That'll be right, not very nice. Don't know if I'll keep that one or not. Just keep it in. Yeah, descent angle's alright, but I probably had the face open, which made it go higher. Now a bit off the bottom of the club, a bit clean, see what it does. 182, 202, this is the sort of club that makes you go, which is never a bad thing. Again, orange descent angle, but it's a lower loft, it's longer as well. What a feel of this thing. I wasn't imagining it the last time. Unbelievable for a game improvement supposedly club. 184, 203. I don't think it's going that much further than the AI 200. You've got to give the AI 200 its dues at the moment. It was catching up with this. It shouldn't probably be as fast off the face, the AI 200, as this. Because this is like a harder metal that they can use thinner sheets of, so it actually flexes even more. But it's obviously done a good job on the AI 200. Again, decent strike, I think. A little bit left. Rarely ever feels very bad, this club. 184 again, 205. Below spin, no doubt, yeah, 3.8, but 41 in the... You'd have to watch what shaft you got and how many clubs, what your set makeup is if you got these. You'll have to be somebody with a bit of speed or go light and whippy with the shafts. A little bit right probably, but again, it felt nice. I could use this, you know that? The way it feels, the way it looks. It's a contender for Club of the Year at the moment, this. 187, 205. That was off the bottom. Might take it out, don't know. Even that didn't feel that bad for how thin it was. 179 for one nice. I'll just keep it in. Oh, how nice was that? Jeez. Sorry to keep saying that sort of thing, but it just keeps surprising me how good it feels when it's the category that it is. 184, 206. It's like, do you even need forged metal anymore? If you can do this, if the microspheres are that effective, just stick microspheres in everything. You could have settees made out of microspheres. You know, sofas, microsphere sofa. Probably about 7 or 8 out of 10, not a great strike. It still didn't feel that bad. 185, 207. Incredibly low spin again. Right, so that's it done, so let's have a look at the figures. Right, so let's have a look at this then. We've got 118 mile an hour ball speed on the AI 200 and 120 on the Elite, and the swing speed for both was 83 for AI 200 and 84 for Elite. Could have been to do with the fact that it's fractionally longer, but I sometimes see that in some of my other tests when the clubs are the same length anyway, that you just have a slight difference in the overall average of the swing speeds. It's pretty much the same. It's 1 mile an hour difference, but there might have been some swings that were a lot further ahead than others in the batch, and so it evens out a bit. I wouldn't read too much into that. It is possible it will swing a little bit faster because it's longer, but it's only 1/4 of an inch. It's not that much different. Launch 19 on the Ai 200 and a bit lower on the Elite at 18. The spin, both incredibly low, and I don't know whether I could just do with using a different shaft, or you just accept that these are going absolutely miles, because it's basically going 200 yards for me. So that used to be a 5-iron, so you wouldn't expect the spin on a 5-iron to be too far off that anyway. So take that with a pinch of salt, because the descent angles would still be both in the green on SkyTrack, which means it's acceptable. It is a little bit lower at 42 descent angle on the Elite and 43 on the Ai 200, so they're still coming down at an angle that they've got a chance of calming down fairly quickly, but they are really stupidly low spin figures there. You should see them up quite a bit higher than that. But again, I am quite a low spin player, come in reasonably shallow to the ball. I don't create masses and masses of spin. Some people who come over the top with an open face, you're going to be creating a lot more spin, and therefore these clubs being quite low spin might help calm that all down. So it just depends on how you hit the ball. If you're testing them, test different shafts obviously if you can. I certainly wouldn't be trying to just take a punt on these and buying them over the internet, guessing that the shaft that you usually use works, because you might get found out with this. You'd be better to go and get fitted and try them. So 178 carry on the Ai 200 and 183, which is just stunning carry, to be honest, for a 7-iron. I know they're strong and they're slightly longer and everything else, but it's just mad that it's going 183 in the air, 203. So in conclusion then, I've come away from this thinking they're just incredibly good clubs, both of them. And I really don't think you would go wrong with either. But you have to stand back and say, well, the Elite does feel on a par with the Ai 200 in terms of the feel. I know I didn't hit them back to back, but I didn't really feel I needed to in the end. I can remember how good that Elite felt every time I hit it. It's not so surprising in the Ai 200 because you know it's forged and you know that it should feel like that. And it is really soft, and it is one of the softest of all the Players Distance iron, which again gives credibility to the Elite on how good that feels. I'm not just imagining it. It was one test and I was starting to think to myself, did I just hit that out the middle all the time and it just felt really good? But that batch there was far from perfect, and it felt really good throughout the test. Even when you hit ones off the bottom, it didn't feel that bad. I'd highly recommend trying the Elite, and on that evidence, you'd have to say that it isn't worth the extra money for the Ai 200, because I couldn't notice enough of a difference in the feel. There'll be some people out there who just will not want anything other than for it to say forged on it, and in their head that's the soft tour-like feel that you're getting. But I would heavily advise having a shot with the Elite if you haven't, and if you weren't really considering it against Ai 200, you certainly should be. But you will have to watch what shaft and your set makeup, how you deal with that, because it is, I think, very low spin. As I say, I'm a low spin player, but these figures are incredibly low, even for me. So you do need to watch that. But yeah, hope that was interesting. If you've got any questions, put them in the comments and I'll get back to you. Thanks again for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.